Hi everyone, Ryan Ratliff here, guide and fly tying manager at Mad River Outfitters. Today we're going to work on a couple things. First I want to introduce you to a new format for tying some swinging flies for steelhead, for trout, salmon, those types of things. Jerry French has been a staple in the swinging world for a long time now. He is the one, along with Ed Ward, invented the intruder fly, the actual intruder. He's been working on different types of platforms. They first came out with a shank, different type of shank setup. They didn't have access to a lot of tubes, so they went with the shanks. These are new shank setups that he's brought out, and they are called the Ultra Rig, and it's a little bit different rigging than what he originally came out with, but I'm going to show you how to use it. So first off, it comes in two different lengths. You got a longer shank length at 43 millimeter, and you got a 27 millimeter. So those are your shank lengths. Both packages here are going to come with 10 shanks. Going to be 10 hooks, enough of the loop material to do those flies, and enough of the junction tubing to do those flies also. So basically each one of these kits you're going to have enough to do 10 total rigs. You can mix it up, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do that. Also, you can check out the longer video of Jerry actually showing all his techniques, but I'll show you what I've been doing to make this work. So pretty easy. It's going to come with about 5 feet of some 50-pound. It's a braided material that use like a conventional type material. A lot of guys out west use that backing or a braided Power Pro or a spider wire for their swinging flies. And then it's going to come with 10 inches of tubing. So let's go ahead and break this down. I'm going to go ahead and do the longer shank. So this is all the kit. You can see that the backing there, or the stinger loop material, the tubing, the hooks, the shanks, all in this nice little kit. These little Talon hooks are awesome. They're a small circle hook, but actually has a barb. It's a micro little barb, so it doesn't give you the total barbless hook, but it's just enough to kind of keep it stuck in there, especially in the wintertime when the fish get downstream real slow and do those slow rolls. This will help you keep those fish stick a little bit more. Here is that braided spider wire. It's like a coated a conventional braid, so 50-pound, real strong. Here is the junction tubing, kind of like what you would use for tube flies, but really small diameter, inside diameter. So flexible, it's like a surgical tubing. So then we have the 43 millimeter shank. The great thing about these shanks compared to other just straight pin style shanks on the market is this return eye is actually tapered. So a lot of the shanks on the market right now are going to be blunt more eye, and that causes all kinds of different issues. That's going to be a sharp spot that's going to cut your thread. It's going to be a lot more added bulk that you have to build up with your thread. The worst thing that happens is you're tying your fly, you get right down to the end and you end up cutting your thread on that sharp burr. So this tapered return eye from this Ultra Rig is excellent. On the cut end, it's nice polished, not sharp. So a lot of guys will cut off their hooks there. You got to be careful with that because that can cut your wire, it can cut your braid, you can do lots of different things. So this is nice and polished there too. So it's perfect to use upturn eye, which is really good. And the reason why we like to go with the return eye is it gives you a little bit of platform to be able to put the dumbbells up there. That's the way that most people rig this. You can still rig the dumbbells in the back like I like to do too. I kind of do a mixture of both, but it gives you a nice little platform up front if you want to do that, but not too much bulk. All right, so those are the main pieces that you need. So what I like to do is I like to take this braid, and I'm going to take it all. It comes in this little twisted up piece here, and it's kind of like a leader, a package leader. If you don't take your time, it's going to be a big knotted up mess. So I like to extend it all out, get it all nice and straight. And then I keep a ruler on my desk. So most people who are serious tires always have some kind of ruler there. You can put marks on your base or on your mat, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it in 6-inch pieces. On Jerry French's video, he takes it and wraps it around these 2 different types of nails and cuts each side a little bit quicker. This right here, you can do it either way you want, but this is the way that I've always done it. So I got my ruler here, and I'm just going to put it on the 6, come in with a nice aggressive scissor, mark that spot there, come in, cut that there. So I got a 6-inch piece, and I'll go through and I'll cut 6 inches all the way down through this whole entire package. So then I have all the 6-inch piece cuts. So that's what you do with the stinger loop material, that braid. Then you got the junction tubing. Going to come in, and these are going to be 1-inch sections. And so I'm going to come in and mark it here. You can stretch it clear across the whole entire thing and hit it with a Sharpie at every inch, whatever you want to do, but just for speed, I'm going to come in and mark it and just cut just 1. Right, so there's my 1-inch piece of tubing. So what I like to do is I'll go through, and once I do the whole entire package, I will rig up these ends. And I have one of my packages here that I'm working on. And I'll put the rigged up pieces in the back. So here's a couple, I'll put the hooks on, junction tubing, and that braid, and I'll just leave a bunch of pieces like this. I'll put it on one side of the package, then I have my hooks or my shanks on the other side. Just, it's all nice and organized, and I know what's going on, and those hooks are pretty sharp, so watch out. All right. So now what we need to do is we're going to take this 6-inch piece, and we need to put it through this junction tubing. And this can be a little bit tricky, especially if you have a little bit of arthritis in the hand. You can use your threader. If you had a bobbin threader, you can push it through there, feed it through. But basically what I like to do is I'll double this braid, make that loop nice and small, and then I'll just feed it through. Slowly feed it through there. If you go nice and slow and don't rush it, it'll go right through. If you have the bobbin threader, which I never seem to know where my bobbin threader is, then you can use that too. You can also put some small, like 4X through there. Feed it through that way also. If you just go nice and slow, maybe twist it just a little bit for rigidity. Then sometimes what will happen is, I'll kind of simulate it a little bit, you'll get hung up and you're almost on the end there. Just simply take your bodkin, come in and grab it. Take your bodkin, come right into the end, kind of grab it and pull it right through. All right. So make sure you don't slide it too far. It goes off the other end. I've done that a few times when I first started out. All right, so I grab my little Talon hook here. Going to double up that little doubled up piece there, make it nice and small. Going to go through the underside of this hook. So I got the hook point here going opposite side of the barb. Double it up, feed it through there. Pull it. Then I want to make sure it's not twisted. Come over the hook point. At this point I can cinch it down if I wanted to, and so it'd be nice and tight. These hooks are real good. The eye closes all the way over. If you wanted to be extra secure, you could just do a half hitch. So instead of cinching it all the way down, I can just twist this loop again, feed that loop over the top. So it holds onto the shank of the hook that way, instead of just right around the eye. So a little bit more secure. Then I just take this, slide this junction tubing down. I'm going to put the eye of the hook in that junction tubing. So then I keep it like that, so then everything's nice and tight together. Got plenty of here extra to tie in on. So you got Ultra Talon, you got your braid, and then your junction tubing. So some of you might be saying, well, why wouldn't you just go ahead and just use the braid and not worry about the junction tubing? So with the braid, it gets to be really, really limp. And the hook, say we just did braid, the hook will want to sag down like this. Some people say that the current pushing up on this hook is going to hold it straight out there. I've never seen current strong enough to hold that right up. I personally don't like my hook dangling down below the fly like that. I like it to be right up in the fly. Sometimes I've foul hooked fish this way, I've hung up, that type of thing. So utilizing this junction tubing on this braid gives me the rigidity that I need. Some people might say, well, why wouldn't you just use wire? Well, the problem with wire is if you need to change the hook, it's kinked. There's like that loop gets real tight, and especially even sometimes it's really hard to get the wire through the eye of some of these octopus style hooks. So the braid is a lot easier to get through the hook, the rigget, and it doesn't kink. And we're simulating the rigidity of wire with this tubing over top. Yeah, it's a couple other steps, but this braid is a lot more flexible. It won't break at the tie-in point. It won't have memory to kink right there where the hook goes on. And utilizing this softer braided material with this junction tubing, we can turn the hook up or down, hook point up or hook point down easily. Let me show you on a rigged fly. So here's a rigged fly. Got the tubing on there, and if you want it to be down, you can keep the fly down. If I want the hook point up, I can turn the junction tubing on the shank, and now it's riding hook point up. So either way, if I want it to kind of have a little bit more sag down, or I want it to be more up, I just kind of tweak the junction tubing a little bit. I can ride a little bit farther down. I can really tweak the junction tubing. Let this thing ride way down if I wanted to. All kinds of different things. So it's very versatile, this system, and it allows you to have the hook to be in line with the shank, and the versatility of switching out hooks and giving hook point up or down. So that's how I prep the package of the Ultra rigs to get ready to tie the fly. The same exact thing would be, so that was the 43 millimeter, the same exact thing I would do for the 27 millimeter. I would take it 6-inch pieces of backing, or that, I call it backing, but it's really braid. Then cut 1-inch pieces of the tubing and go from there. So lashing this onto the shank. So let me show you how to rig it onto the shank. So I have this piece already rigged up, ready to go. Got the Regal shank jaw here, 43 millimeter shank. Put this in the shank jaw. You want to have a little bit overlap. So a little bit of the shank in the jaw, obviously you need that just to hold on to it, but also that's what we're going to stick the junction tubing on. So going to utilize this infinity keeper here to put the hook point on so I don't stick it in my finger. Just going to kind of eyeball it, make sure everything's good. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to grab my thread. Just going to get this out of the way. You're just going to use your regular UTC 140. Just get a good solid base. I like to stripe or leave separation in between the wraps. Give a good little amount of thread right at the back section there, right where the shank goes in the jaw. Pop that off. Keep that over there. All right, so now I'm looking down inside my jaw. Obviously the shank's in there a little bit, and I am going to start my thread around this braid right where that shank meets the jaw of the vise. So The first time, just a couple loose wraps just to lock it in, like 3 wraps, just to kind of get it there. I can always pull it just a little bit if I need to. I'll wrap back towards the back, get that lashed in. That's where I want it to. It's still on top of the hook shank, or the shank here. Gonna make sure that they are going parallel to themselves, not twisted. Now I'm gonna cross those wraps I made at first, crisscrossing those wraps down to the middle. Then I'm gonna cross up. I'm gonna go up and back in between those 2 areas, return eye in the middle of the shank 3 times, 3 or so times. Now I'm gonna work back to the back. Cross it over, there's a 4th time or 5th time. Cross back to the tie-in point here at the back of the shank. All right, so that was 3 to 4 sections on each end, and that was under maximum tension. This is where I want to start my material, so I'm going to be back there. Now, I want to come in and trim this off. Trim it in nice and flush here. Real concerned about it, you could work your thread up and cover over that one more time, but when I get up to that stage, I will cover over that. So, that is your basic platform that you're going to use to ultra rig. You've got the backing or the braid trimmed down 6 inches, the tubing at 1 inch. Got the Aqua Talon on with the 1/2 hitch to secure that hook in there, and I've secured it down thoroughly. If you are a little bit concerned about you're new maybe to the tie-in and you don't know your maximum tension of the thread as you do those wraps, then you might want to go through the eye. I personally don't like to do that because I don't want to close up that eye at all. If I'm going to take this fly to Alaska or somewhere where I might be using like 20-pound tippet for kings, then I want to keep that eye as large as possible. So that's a basic platform there. Look for a couple other videos on some different fly types for utilizing this platform, and give it a shot. It's going to treat you well. It's treated me well so far this fall season here in Ohio. All right, thank you very much. Make sure you like this video, leave some comments. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask us. And we'll have all the links for all these materials here down below. All right, thanks.
If you like this video, hit subscribe. It helps out a lot. And check out these videos. We think you might like them too.